Good morning. Today is Wednesday, November 6th, also known as it's recycling day in Swannanoa. So I'm sorry to all my neighbors who had to see me racing to get my cart out ahead of the truck this morning in my robe. This is your Buncombe County Community Briefing. I'm Director of Communications and Public Engagement, Lillian Govis, and today we'll be joined by Corinne Duncan, Director of Elections, who will give us a recap on our election yesterday and share what happens next. We'll also hear from Clay Chandler and the City of Asheville with water and service updates, along with Police Chief Mike Lamb. But first, as we always do, here's County Manager Avril Pender.
Thanks, Lillian. Good morning. I want to start today by just sharing my immense gratitude for the more than 600 poll workers and election staff who helped pull off yesterday's election. Elections are never easy to pull off, but our folks sure make them look that way. This year was even more difficult because at the same time, we are running an active Hurricane Helene Emergency Operations Center where hundreds of staff are putting in long days to help make and keep our community needs as we recover from this disaster. So hats off to you for a job well done. We're happy to share that Kirby Management, or Kirby, will be accepting political signs for recycling starting today. If you have political signs from the election, bring them to Kirby's facility at 116 North Woodfin Avenue in Asheville for proper disposal and recycling. To make the process as easy as possible, they will have 2 separate carts available. Simply drop off the signs and stakes in their designated carts, and Kirby will take care of the rest. Vispro would operate normal routes for household trash and recycling in accessible locations today in Swannanoa. Today, you can drop off bagged household waste at the truck parked at Hearts with Hands, 850 Warren Wilson Road. On Thursday, at Ingalls Fairview at 225 Charlotte Highway, and on Friday at the North Buncombe Pool at 734 Clark's Chapel Road in Weaverville. Trash drop-off hours are 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. In Buncombe County, more than 61,000 cubic yards of debris have been collected. There are 38 trucks running in the county and 7 more on the way. These trucks are focused on collections in Swannanoa, Black Mountain, Barnersville, Lower Brush Creek, and Julian Shoals in the southern part, the eastern and southern part of the county. We are getting lots of questions about if we will pick up debris on private roads. The answer to that question is a resounding yes. Yes, we will pick up the debris on those private roads, but because they are private, they require additional legal authority. So while we work through that, we will start with those public roads and right-of-ways. The transfer station is backed up and open today, and is open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. A quick reminder, our community care stations are open daily from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. with showers, laundry, and more. All community care stations have ADA accessible showers and bathrooms. Laundry drop-off and pickup is available at the Swannanoa Ingalls. The locations for our community care stations are at Home Store Parking Lot, Big Lots Amesbrook Mall, Buncombe County Sports Park, Bethel United Methodist, Fairview Ingalls, Swannanoa Ingalls, Owen Pool, and Morgan Hill Baptist Church. Our water and meals ready to eat are available at our distribution sites, and they're located at Skylanes Bowling Alley, Black Mountain Ingalls, Swannanoa Ingalls, Linwood Crump Shiloh Community Center, Pack Square Park, Buncombe County Sports Park, and Fairview Ingalls. With that, I'll turn it over to Corinne Duncan with an elections recap.
Thank you, Avril. And thanks for the praise for elections. The county has been very supportive of us. Well, good morning. I'm Corinne Duncan, Director of Elections for Buncombe County, North Carolina. Yesterday, yes, that is past tense, was the 2024 presidential election. In Buncombe County, operations went very smoothly. I'm proud to say that all 80 of our precincts opened on time. We had results posted before 9:30 p.m. That is very fast. And we had the warehouse shut down and secured not long after 10 p.m. We also had a very healthy turnout of 70, almost 74%. That's not as high as 2020. 2020 was 78% turnout for Buncombe, but it's still a great turnout, and we even edged out the state average by a percentage point. So voters, I've been saying this all along, you can be proud. You prioritized voting during a hurricane. You did this before. In 2020, the whole nation came out in record numbers during a pandemic. And this time, Western North Carolina didn't let even an extensive natural disaster that is very much still an active situation stop us from voting. That's proof that we value this right and that we know the important times to come together. We demonstrate it. This success relies on the dedication of election officials too. Both the fact that election officials are expert contingency planners and that they have heart. It takes many people to put on an election. These are the election officials, our county support, poll workers, voting locations, the food and moving and supply and equipment vendors, our board, and of course, voters. I am particularly proud of my staff. I have found it difficult to find the adequate words to thank them. These people deeply care about providing us with the right to vote. So much that they came to the office through uncertain and hazardous conditions just days after the storm. They came together to make sure their coworkers were okay, that we had food and water and places to stay. There were, and still are, hugs and working through grief together. These people got to work even when their homes were damaged with floodwaters. They had trees in their living rooms. They asked their families to evacuate to safer places, yet they stayed behind themselves and they lost friends and they still showed up. I didn't ask them to do it, but the river rose and so did they. There aren't words enough to thank these people, and all I can say is that I am grateful. The work is not over, however. Over the next 10 days, we will audit the election. We'll process the absentee ballots that were turned in yesterday and all of the provisionals that we had. Then on November 15th, we'll hold a public meeting where we will come together with our board. We will go over the audit and we will certify the election and make the results official for Buncombe County. Thank you.
Thank you, Corinne. Our next guest will be City Manager Debra Campbell with City of Asheville.
Thank you, Lillian. And good morning. My name is Deborah Campbell, and I serve as the City Manager of Asheville. As usual, I also want to start by thanking everyone in the community for your continued support and your ongoing efforts to help our community recover from this devastating storm. We're on day 42 of our emergency response and recovery efforts. As I have previously shared, the city is focused on 6 major priority areas: addressing the basic needs of our community with a focus on our most vulnerable populations in the broader community, restoring water service, community safety and security, debris collection, temporary housing, economic recovery, and financial assistance. Today, my team and I will provide an update on water distribution and mill sites, share details on additional services that have resumed, give you a quick update on debris removal, and I will provide those updates Clay Chandler, our Public Information Officer, with our Water Resources Department, will provide an update on the progress being made to address water turbidity issues in the North Fork Reservoir. And we'll also have an update on community safety issues and concerns from our Chief of Police, Mike Lamb. We'll start off with an update from Clay Chandler with our Water Resources Department. Clay.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. My update today is going to be fairly brief. We'll start with the turbidity issue at North Fork. As of early this morning, turbidity had fallen below 18. It hovered around 18 for most of Tuesday. And I know they're reading on the results that we have posted on the websites at 18.8. That reading came very, very early Tuesday morning, right around 2 o'clock. And it continued to fall throughout the day. That reading that we have posted on the website is the max for a 24-hour period. So I know that doesn't show a whole lot of movement between Monday and Tuesday, but it's dropped more than a point since then. We have ordered additional aluminum sulfate and caustic soda for next week's treatment. We hope to get that underway Monday afternoon. We confirmed the contractor's availability late yesterday. Same contractor as last time, Estate Management Services from Brunswick, Georgia. And they will treat the reservoir every day next week or until the treatment chemicals run out, whichever happens first, but we expect that to be a minimum of 4 days. Staying at North Fork, we have reduced our chlorination to 2.5 parts per million. That's down from 4, which was previously down from 6, which was previously down from 8. And so we have been able to make great progress on that front. Normally, we treat chlorine between like 1.5, 1.8. So we are inching toward that. North Fork's capacity to push treated and filtered water into the system has risen to 17 million gallons a day. That's extremely significant. And that's almost double what the capacity was when we first started pushing filtered water into the system last Wednesday. So a week ago today. Another very good sign. And also, as usual, that process is contingent upon turbidity in the reservoir continuing to fall. So, we don't need a high wind event or extremely heavy rainfall or anything like that. Slow, steady rainfall would be fantastic in a number of ways for a lot of people. Staying at North Fork, still a lot of news out of North Fork in the last 24 hours. T&K Utilities completed installation last night of the new primary 24-inch and 36-inch transmission mains. We have all 3 of those in service now. Well, the 2 primary mains and the bypass are all in service. That was accomplished 36 days after they could access the job site with equipment and materials. And I don't think enough could be said about how quickly our partners in the private sector have helped us get to this point. The Army Corps of Engineers project still in the procurement stage. That is right on schedule, and nothing has changed. Nothing has happened that would change that late November, early December start of operation. They're still on track for that, and obviously we will update that as we get closer to that time frame. That's it for me today. I know you'll have questions after, but for now, I'm going to turn it over to Police Chief Mike Lamb.
Thank you, Clay. So as we navigate what will be a lengthy recovery process from the effects of Tropical Storm Helene, I want to remind folks that there's still significant dangers that exist within certain areas of Asheville. Buncombe County's emergency declaration, which includes Asheville, remains active due to extensive hazards. Catastrophic damage along the Swannanoa and French Broad rivers, particularly in the South Tunnel Road area, the Swannanoa River Road area, Thompson Street, Biltmore Village, Lyman Street, and Riverside Drive, will require substantial time for recovery and restoration to these public access areas. The affected areas contain multiple dangers, including damaged roadways and sidewalks, compromised utility lines, and hidden hazards concealed by debris and sediment. Ongoing recovery operations often involve heavy equipment. The city of Asheville has installed barricades and warning signs to indicate closed areas that have restricted access. Only authorized individuals, such as business owners, authorized workers, and residents may enter these zones with permission. Please be mindful of the fact that these restrictions exist for the safety of the public and the workers within these zones. APD officers, in coordination with other outside law enforcement agencies, are actively patrolling these areas to ensure public safety and also to restrict access. We urge everyone to pay close attention to road closure signage and instructions from law enforcement to protect visitors, residents, and recovery workers. The Asheville Police Department stands with our neighbors as we navigate this recovery process and the safety of our community as our top priority. I'll now hand it back over to Ms. Campbell.
Thank you, Chief. I'll start my comments with an update on water and meal distribution. Water distribution sites and community care stations remain in operation. County Manager Pender listed them, but I will repeat those in the city of Asheville. We are maintaining distribution sites from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Pack Square Park, 70 Court Plaza, Skylanes Bowling Alley, 1477 Patton Lane, Linwood Crump Shallow Community Center, 121 Shallow Road. And again, just to note that the Shallow location has bottled water and boxes of water and MREs, but no bulk water. Community care stations and distribution sites are located at 980 Brevard Road in the at-home store parking lot, 85 Tunnel Road in the Innsbrook Mall parking lot. These operating hours are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Both locations have ADA accessible showers and restrooms. As of this morning, our sites have distributed more than 2.2 million bottles and 1 liter cartons of drinking water, 22,074 gallon jugs of potable water, 234,667 gallons of non-potable water, 179,028 meals ready to eat, and 1,954 blankets for warmth. In terms of services and operations that have been resumed, all of the city's parks and recreation community centers officially opened today, November the 6th. This means buildings and the outdoor spaces surrounding them, including playgrounds, picnic areas, sports fields, and plazas, will also be open. While the facilities are reopening, most regularly scheduled programs and events at community centers are on hold. Please check with each individual center for more information on organized activities. Park and recreation after-school programs hosted at community centers began meeting indoors on October 28th and will continue to do so for children enrolled in after-school programming. More than half of the parks within the city of Asheville system are now open. It is important for the community to know that closed parks are not safe and only authorized staff are allowed to enter. More information on parks and programming can be found at asheville.nc.gov/parks. Veterans Day event on Monday, November 11th at 11 a.m. A Veterans Day ceremony will be held at the Charles George VA Medical Center in Asheville. Our community is encouraged to attend this event, if it's safe, for you to get there, to honor our community members who are veterans. As a reminder, ART bus service is free until further notice and has a bus stop at the Charles George VA Medical Center in Asheville. Additionally, a video of the ceremony will be available in the City of Asheville YouTube channel at 3 p.m. In terms of transportation, ART bus service will continue to be free of charge until further notice. A shuttle service is being provided between the WNC ACT Center and American Red Cross shelters. Parking is currently free in all city garages and parking, and parking spaces. If you require long-term parking, please use one of the city garages to help keep street meter parking available for short-term visitors to support our visitors, as well as our businesses. Also, we have resumed parking enforcement specifically for loading zones and handicap parking spaces. Please don't park or block loading zones. You will be towed or ticketed. We also ask that you do not park in accessible spaces without an authorized Americans with Disability Act ADA placard or sticker. As usual, unauthorized vehicles will be ticketed. In terms of debris management, for today, Ashbridge, our contractor, will have 4 trucks in the zone 3, which is downtown Asheville, 10 in zones 4 and 5, which is north and east Asheville, 10 in zone 6, east Asheville, and 11 in zones 7 and 8, which are southeast Asheville and southeast Asheville and south Asheville. In closing, and as usual, I'd like to extend my continued thanks to the mayor and city council, all of our dedicated City of Asheville employees, our other partners in the county, state, and federal government, as well as our private and nonprofit partners who continue to work diligently to help our community recover. We know we have a ways to go, but we are making steady progress. Thank you. Lillian.
Thank you. And as the city manager touched on, they have their Veterans Day event on Monday. The county offices will be closed on Monday, so we will not have a community briefing on Monday at 11. So everyone can go and celebrate our veterans and thank them for their service. We will have community briefings tomorrow and Friday though, so we will continue that schedule at 11 a.m. for the rest of the week. Good news came out this morning, like our friends from the Park Service shared earlier this week. The Blue Ridge Parkway from Highway 70 down to Brevard Road is open, 11 miles of parkway available to us. And that also includes those trails that are connected in those spaces. They do want us to be extra cautious as there are a lot of trees down. FEMA is at the Cane Creek Pool today, 590 Lower Brush Creek Road. They're also at the Buncombe County Sports Park. Those hours are 8 to 7, and those are their disaster recovery centers. Those are complemented by disaster support teams who are at the Blingles, the Black Mountain Ingles, Grace Covenant Presbyterian Church, the courthouse, Asheville City Hall, Holiday Inn, Biltmore West, United Way Building, Swananoa Community Care Station at the Owen Pool, Asheville Terrace Apartments, the water distribution location on Tunnel Road, and Covenant Community Church. Those are all until 5 o'clock today. Of course, you can start that process at disasterassistance.gov. And with that, we will turn it over to questions from our media partners who have joined on a separate Zoom call. Angelica is not here, so we'll have, I think Catalina will be moderating for us, but who is that who unmuted?
That was John Boyle from Asheville Watchdog.
Clay, come on.
I'm so predictable now.
Morning, John.
Good morning, Clay. A couple of these questions are similar to the 20 that I sent you yesterday. I had one I thought was interesting. Someone's asking me, so with turbidity being the problem and needing to get that to 1.5 to 2.0, how can you push so much water through the filters that you have? My understanding before was that that level would lead to serious clogging, for lack of a better word, and immense backwashing. So how are y'all being able to push this many millions of gallons of water through the system right now?
Sure. So short version is turbidity has fallen enough since like mid-October that we're able to do that. And when we started, the reason we knew we would be able to do that is because part of our collaboration with the Corps of Engineers included a pilot plant, very small portable treatment system at North Fork that has the same kind of filters on it that we have. And we just started testing, pushing water through it, seeing how the filters handled it, seeing how long we could run the filters before we had to take them offline and backwash them, like you said. And once we got, comfortable with the results and how that small amount translated to a large amount, that's when we started pushing filtered water through the system. And that was a week ago today. Today is Wednesday, right? Yeah, a week ago today.
Yeah. So is it safe to say that that previous goal of hitting 1.5 to 2, is that now higher where y'all have realized you can actually treat higher turbidity water? And what range would that be in?
I don't know that it's necessarily higher. I know that we would be most comfortable pushing 27 million gallons a day of water through our filters if it were between 1.5 and 2. And keep in mind, 27 or so million gallons a day is what it's going to take to flush the system and replace all the non-potable water, potable water, so we can lift the boil water notice. I don't know that we've raised the turbidity number, but I do know that we would be most comfortable at that volume if turbidity was between 1.5 and 2.
Okay, and you mentioned the two main lines T and K has put back in place. So now that those two and the bypass are back in place, are they in the exact same locations where they were, and they've now washed out twice?
The main lines they follow the same general route. They're not in the exact location that they were. The bypass location, same thing, same general area, but it's when this process is finished, it will be more heavily armored and buried deeper than it was previously.
Okay, and the two main lines, are they located in the path of the spillway discharge?
They are located, the old spillway pattern or river that we had out there is a little farther now to the east of the primary transmission lines than they were. So they're a little farther away than they were.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is if we had another big storm like this, it seems like those two lines certainly could wash out again.
Sure. And I mean, with their resiliency and redundancy projects that are included in our list, so to speak, that has the filter upgrades on it. That includes an additional bypass line. Exact route of that to be determined, but that would be geographically separate from the current bypass and the primary transmission lines now. But we are a little limited at North Fork by the topography out there of where we can put big water lines.
Okay, my last question. I've had several people ask about the aluminum sulfate and caustic soda. Once y'all put that in the reservoir as a treatment, does that make it through into the water going into people's homes, and how much of it does?
Test results that we have posted on the website, I don't believe we've exceeded the aluminum MCL. I think the only MCLs we've exceeded other than chlorine, and we knew we were going to do that, are very slightly elevated levels of iron and manganese. Now the level of aluminum in the water now is higher than it is in normal conditions, but it's still under that maximum contaminant limit that the EPA sets.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Hey Clay, it's Laura at BPR. I'll try to be
Morning.
unpredictable here. You said you're gonna do that treatment every day next week or until the chemicals run out with a minimum of 4 days. So just to be clear, I mean, the entirety of that is one quote unquote treatment. Is that
Correct. Yeah.
correct? Okay.
Yeah.
And so the expectation for next week's treatment would be similar to what you've seen in this week in terms of what you're hoping the turbidity level would drop?
Yeah, I mean, I think this second round of treatment managed to drop the turbidity 2.5-ish points in 3 or 4 days, maybe closer to 5 days. Now, eventually, theoretically, at least, as we move forward with rounds of treatment, you would think that there are fewer particles that it's going to have to coagulate so they can sink to the bottom. So working on that theory, and again, it is just a theory, there will be fewer particles for next week's treatment to actually deal with. And if that's the case, then the rate of turbidity fall should pick up.
And then does the logic follow from that, that plan A, if you will, on the treatment and plan B, which is the filtration, could intersect? And I that's my next question, which is, we didn't think you could put this level of turbidity into the system, but as you said, you tested and have. So, and you said you're up to, I believe, 17
17.
million?
Yeah, 17 million gallons.
And you
a
need
day.
to get to 25.
25, 27. It's going to be in that neighborhood, whether that's, 25.3 or 26.8. We can't
Is it-
calculate that precisely yet.
So is it possible the turbidity drops and you're able to push everything through North Fork and not have to use the system that the Army Corps is building?
We are going to install this system and use it regardless. And I think, like I mentioned Monday, we would like to keep this system in place at North Fork until those filter upgrades are made, in the event that we have, some kind of weather episode that turbocharges the turbidity in that reservoir. But yeah, it's very possible that the in reservoir treatment gets the turbidity down low enough that we're actually pushing more than 20 million gallons a day of potable water into the system by the time the Corps of Engineers project is operational.
And you said they're still in procurement process, so not actually constructing, if you will. Do you have any estimate on timeline of that or how that procurement process is going?
So I believe the plan for today, or maybe tomorrow, is for the Corps of Engineers to sign a contract with a private contractor who will actually build out that system. And actual materials and equipment will begin to arrive shortly after that, and the construction will start.
If somebody else has a question for Clay, keep you up there. I have a question for probably Lillian.
I might have a future as Clay's press agent. What's your question, Laura?
So we received this press release last night as results were coming in about an increase in the incidence of overdose in one particular zip code, which I believe is mostly West Asheville. Wondering if you have any details you can share about either scope of that or cause of that.
So what you received, what we sent out last night, is called a spike alert. And when we see a certain threshold of overdoses in a 24-hour period, we distribute that spike alert to let folks in the community know that we are seeing that. That is to help make sure that we are connecting resources to people. So we want to encourage everyone to utilize those test strips that are available. It could be indicative of tainted substances in our community or an overuse in a particular pocket. But regardless of the cause of it, we want to make sure that our service providers in the area who can help with that harm reduction piece are able to mobilize in that community and get people to those life-saving resources so that we can do both interventions and postventions when it comes to overdoses.
And can you give us a sense of you know, what the threshold is for spike and what the numbers typically would be, just for context?
5 and 24 hours. So that's what we saw yesterday in that 28806 zip code.
And I think I'm hearing you say there's not you can't point to a specific identified cause of that, just an
No.
alert to let providers know. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. And community care partners. I did get some breaking news while I was away that the transfer station is closed again. There's a road closure there. So please don't use the transfer station. If you're taking trash, go to the dump in Alexander and they'll be able to help you out there. But the transfer station is closed again. Other questions? Anything in the chat, Catalina? Nothing in the chat?
Sorry to make Clay come back up, but I have one more question. Okay. We've got a lot of questions from people who are asking if there's anything that they can purchase in terms of a filter for their shower to eliminate primarily chlorine, but anything else that might be in the water. Is that something you all can provide information on?
We generally don't provide guidance on aftermarket filters. That would be between the consumer and the manufacturer.
Any other questions? Final questions? I do, as we close this out, I do want to wish a very happy move-in day to my friends Jackie and Stuart. They lived on Cane Creek and they lost absolutely everything that they owned. But today they are moving into their apartment in Fairview, not too far from where their house used to be. And they are really excited about that. And that is something that gives me a lot to be grateful for today. I also wanted to send a thank you out to someone who I don't know who you are, but last night as I was driving home and elections days are long. And so it was pretty late last night when I was driving home when we wrapped up, and on the side of Highway 70 in Swannanoa, there's this real big truck that had obviously gotten caught up in the flooding. And ever since then, it's been laying on its side on the side of Highway 70 there headed toward Black Mountain. And all you can see on this truck are the axles and the undercarriage. And I always look at that truck and wonder about, who that truck belongs to and what it was used for before the storm. And I also kind of think about what it's going to be like when that truck isn't there anymore. What is that moment going to feel like? But last night as I was driving back, someone had strung Christmas lights on the undercarriage of that truck. And it kind of made me tear up a little bit because it was so sweet. And I just really appreciated how one of my neighbors took it upon themselves to make a little happiness in that darkness. So thank you to whoever you are who made that happen. I appreciate it. And thanks for bringing a little bit of joy last night after a long day. We will see everyone back here tomorrow. We do have partners from Habitat for Humanity joining us tomorrow to give an update on their end, as well as folks from Working Wheels. So we will look forward to seeing everyone back at our community briefing tomorrow, Thursday at 11 a.m.